Good morning, my name is Patrick Purcell, and I proudly serve as your fire chief here in the town of Westborough. It was on this date 19 years ago at 8:46 a.m. that American Airlines Flight 11 crashed into the North Tower at the World Trade Center. I respectfully request a moment of silence at this time. I would like to welcome you to the Westborough Fire Department's virtual September 11th memorial ceremony. Some of the words that are about to be spoken I have used in last year's speech, but I cannot think of a more appropriate way to address our community and encourage you to always remember those that were lost. Today we look back to honor those who lost their lives on September 11th, 2001. On this day 19 years ago, America was changed forever. History books were rewritten, and families were never the same again. Innocent people lost their lives, and first responders sacrificed everything to make sure that American lives were saved. 19 years ago, families lost sons, daughters, mothers, and fathers, and nothing will fill the void in these families' lives. But with all of us gathering here annually, we show these families that we will never forget and that their loved ones will always be remembered. By us coming together today and putting on the ceremony, we showed that America's spirit will not be broken. We will always show hope, faith, and reliance. As we continue through our lives, I want you to remember this forever. You may not get along with every person you meet. You may not even like every person you meet. But remember that person is an American citizen. We all share a common love, and that is in our country. So thank you for bonding together and showing that we are a strong nation that cannot be broken. These words that have been spoken are now more important than ever. As much as I feel that this day should only be to recognize the lives of the lost that were lost on 9/11, as well as the families, I feel that there are more lessons that were learned that day that we should pay attention to. As the citizens of our country are facing many challenges involving things like politics, racism, climate change, the way we interact with law enforcement, and our overall health and well-being of our communities, I encourage you to reflect upon the sacrifices of those who were lost on 9/11 and bond together as a nation as we did that same very day. I encourage you to embrace your friends, your families, your neighbors, and your community. I encourage you to keep the memory of 9/11 in your thoughts always and learn from all that stepped forward that same very day, which was September 11th, 2001. Thank you for being with us today. This time I'd like to welcome the just recently retired Captain Brian Roberts from the Westborough Fire Department. Brian's going to offer a few minutes of reflection on his experiences. You don't know this about Captain Roberts. He's a pretty humble guy that he operated at the World Trade Center site just after the attacks of 9/11, and he has some things he'd like to share.
Like most of you, I watched the horrors on television unfold. I saw the first plane hit the World Trade Center, then watched the second plane hit. I saw the aftermath of the Pentagon attack, and then the news of Flight 93 that crashed into the field of Shanksville, Pennsylvania. As each crash happened, I felt the gravity of what was happening sinking in. I knew I wanted to be part of the response. As a member of the Worcester, Massachusetts Disaster Medical Assistance Team, I was asked to join my team on the afternoon of September 11th. And by 5 p.m. that day, we were on a bus headed south. It wasn't difficult to get enough members of the team to deploy. All our members are first responders in some way, paramedics, doctors, nurses. All of us are trained to help in high casualty situations. All of us are willing to drop whatever was happening in our lives and get on the bus. All of us feeling privileged to be part of the response and part of the solution. The bus ride there was somber. Our plans of actions were discussed. What was this? We were thinking this was a rescue mission. We would set up our treatment area a few blocks north of Ground Zero and would soon be available to help with victims who needed medical attention. We talked about how to handle the streams of hurt people from the attacks, who would sort them, who would determine who needed what. We had a solid plan in place and we were ready. When we arrived and began to set up, it became increasingly clear that this would not be a rescue mission, that this would be a recovery mission. There just weren't any patients at that point to be helped, and they had perished in their towers. We were tasked with providing medical support to the other first responders who were on the scene who needed medical attention, and to provide mortuary affairs support to victims and their families. We weren't able to provide the help that we had hoped to. It was quiet, somber, and there was a feeling of hopelessness. How could this have happened? How can 4 airplanes cause so much damage? What did this mean for our future of our country, our security? We were faced with an evil I had never seen before. While reflecting on this on the 7th day of deployment, I was asked to go through a few boxes of medical supplies that had been donated to see what we could use and how to distribute them to the nearby medical stations. I opened a small box, a small cardboard box. It wasn't labeled on the outside, and I opened it up, and inside were a few Band-Aids, a half-tube Vaxitration antibiotic, and a note for an elderly woman, judging by the handwriting. She had emptied out her medicine cabinet and brought the box to ground zero, and it ended up in our medical station. Those Band-Aids made it to the medical station for her. And then it dawned on me that I'm not the only one who felt helpless. It's not just the first responders who were affected by this attack, it was everyone. The residents of the financial district, residents of New York City, the residents of Westborough, all American citizens. This was an event that brought the nation to its knees, but also saw us rise above the ashes and come together in a way that we have never seen before. People like this elderly woman who were willing to give whatever they had to help. Whether it was donating blood or money or some box of Band-Aids, or whatever they had to give. The outpouring of support that I witnessed firsthand, as well as saw happening nationwide, left me humble. Everyone wanted to pitch in, and it made me extremely proud of the response. I'm thankful we have this memorial to honor those who were lost that day. I'm thankful that we have a place to pay our respects, to remember those who served, those who ran into the buildings as they were collapsing to save as many lives as possible. The memorial you see before you is a reminder of what we lost that day. Thousands of lives. Our innocence, sense of safety and security, but it has to also remember what we gained that day. A sense of national pride and the willingness as a nation to come together in times of need and support one another, regardless of race, religion, or political views. Remember how you felt that day? Remember how you wanted to help? Remember your sense of national pride? Remember that we all got along, and remember how your problems seemed less significant than they did on September 10th. That experience changed the nation, and I along with it. I had newfound appreciation for life, our nation, and my service as a first responder. I would like to thank the Westborough Fire Department as well as the town of Westborough for its full support of my DMAT career. I have been called to many disasters over the years, and it was always with full support of this department in this community. Thank you.
Mark. order aren't